This has been a very tough and trying past few weeks, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement coming stronger than ever before once again due to police brutality. It made me really want to sit back and reflect on all the ways that systematic racism has truly affected the lives of countless amounts of black people and also other people of color. But with that being said, I found some very, how do you say, problematic results when looking within to the Hollywood and movie industry with their treatment of black actors and mainly black movies, which hence the title is why white people really don't care about black movies. Before I do really start digging into all the information that I was able to gather from scouring the internet from top to bottom, I would just like to ask a question to you. How many black actors do you think have won an Oscar? I'll give you 3 seconds. If you said the number 19, then you are very much correct. Over the past 100 years, almost 100 years of the Oscars being around, only 19 black actors actually won an Oscar in any of the acting categories. Okay, now let me do you one better. Guess how many of the 19 were in supporting roles? I'll give you 3 seconds. If you guessed anything other than 14, then you would have been wrong. There have been 14 of the 19 were in supporting roles, not leading roles. There has only been one black woman to win an Oscar in a leading role. Can you, let that sink in for just a second. And that one person, of course, is Holly Berry for her role in Monsters Ball. And it's like, those statistics right there already paint the picture of how Hollywood will more or less visualize what a black actor truly means to them. A black actor has not won an Oscar in a leading role since 2006 when Forest Whitaker did. Now, you may say that they do get their shine in supporting roles, but that is a problem in on itself. For an African American man and or woman or anything in between to not be able to hoist the highest honor there is in Hollywood for being a lead in a movie is very troubling. They should not be regarded to only be able to do supporting roles. That is something that should never be a thing. But though that information right there is really what led me onto the research to see why is it that some of the things is the way that it is. So right now, I'm gonna start putting up screenshots. And these screenshots are gonna show some of the more favorable black movies amongst the community. Things that a lot of us grew up watching and a lot of us love. Starting off with Juice, the movie that had Tupac. It was an amazing movie. Only got a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.1 on IMDb. Moving along to Don't Be a Menace to Society. Granted, this is a spoof movie and it isn't meant to be taken extremely serious. But even though it is in a very goofy tone, it still has a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, you may be looking at me right now like all credibility is lost, and mind you, no it is not. Just because a movie was made to be as slapstick as possible and to be as taken lightly as possible does not take away any of the credibility that the movie has with whether or not it's accomplishing what it wants to accomplish. There's no reason in hell that Don't Be a Menace should have a 31% on Rotten Tomatoes. No reason. Then moving forward to Baby Boy. Baby Boy is more or less a movie that when looking back on it, you will laugh a lot more when watching it, even when it isn't supposed to be funny, but that still doesn't justify having a 71% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Then Set It Off. A movie that one of my big sisters loves so near and dear with her heart, to the point where I gave it a rewatch in the past couple of months. And when I watched it, I was actually blown away Because looking at the reviews and then looking at the movie itself, you see two completely different things. Looking at the reviews, you would think that it was a run-of-the-mill, average movie that wasn't anything to ever be talked about. But when you actually watch it, it's something that's actually pretty moving. And I may be exaggerating a little bit, but Set It Off is a really amazing movie. Yet it only has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.9 on IMDb. Dead President's a very underrated movie of its time that really does highlight PTSD of coming back from the war. Only has a 44%. And then Friday, one of the most classic black movies there are. Very inspirational with the way that it was presented. Very quote worthy. One of the most memorable movies that I will ever watch in my life, and trust me, I've watched a lot of movies. Sits at a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.3 on IMDb. To them, these movies are extremely average. But the thing that really pokes me, before I tell that, New Jack City also has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 6.7 on IMDb. Let that sink in. But the movie that really is the dagger, that shows that they care nothing about what a black movie is unless they're trying to pander to the extreme edges, that should probably show how much they really care. Black Panther got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and also got nominated for Best Picture. Black Panther, a movie that was mid as shit, extremely average in every way, shape, or form. A set design that included a green screen and no depth analysis. A movie that had maybe one or two good acting performances, and the rest is pandering. They claimed it to be the very first movie to have an all-black cast, produced by all black people, and it's a Marvel movie. They acting like Blade never existed. These movies, if you really can't get the idea of what I'm trying to say, these movies are the reason why I even thought about this in the first place. And then when you think about the Oscar controversies against movies that they think are quote unquote good, Boys in the Hood did not get nominated for Best Picture. It only got nominated for Best Director. One of the best movies, one of the best black movies to ever be made. Menace to Society, another great black movie, didn't get touched. Only got touched at the BET Awards. And then here, when talking about the Oscars, there's a movie called Selma. It did get nominated, but as posted on Twitter recently, Ava DuVernay and David O said that their 2014 MLK biopic Selma lost Oscar votes after the cast wore "I Can't Breathe" shirts to the premiere. Which, if you didn't know, around that time, police brutality was also at an all-time high. And there was the same exact controversy of a white officer choking out a black man with him saying that he couldn't breathe, yet the officer continued to choke until he died. They wore it in protest, and the Oscars claimed that they were quote-unquote stirring shit up. It's like a lot of these movies, they just truly aren't appreciated in the way that they should be. And while I was doing research about this entire topic, it did lead me to a few reasons why maybe white people really wouldn't be able to relate to the movies of not only black people, but also other people of color. And what I did find was something called the racial empathy gap. The racial empathy gap is basically how likely you are as a person to relate to someone that isn't the same race as you. And it isn't as simple as that. In most cases, every race of person, black, white, Latino, Asian, so on and so forth, are more likely to empathize with the white person. And this is due in part to the systematic racism that already is put in place, and it has become internalized to the point where, implicitly speaking, like not even cognizant, we are always thinking of these things. So due to the racial empathy bias, a lot of white people are not able to really relate to the stories of other people, to people of color and black people. So when they see these stories, in most cases they wouldn't even dare to go out to see them. And this leads to the point of that a lot of Oscar movies, a lot of movies that get nominated, they are ones that only are seen by a specific crowd of people. They're only seen by them. And that crowd of people are typically the older white males and females. In most cases, these older white females and males are the ones that are on the boards of these of the Academy Awards, in which they give out the votes to vote for which movie is going to be the best picture. So if there is a board and it lacks entire diversity, so it has the inability to see the perspectives from these other sides of individuals, then it makes it extremely hard for them to relate to them and see like this is a better picture due to the subject material, not only because of the technical aspect that is being accomplished here. And now, I know you're probably screaming at your screen right now. But movies like Moonlight have won Oscars. It won the best picture over La La Land. And to that, I would say yes. You are right. But you are also leading to the point that I am trying to make. My theater teacher, my theater coach, when I was in high school, all 4 years, really amazing teacher, and she always led the land in our competitive field. One of the things that she would constantly tell our team is that we would have to work twice as hard to make it to where white students are. It's just how it is. We are viewed as different, and we have to struggle even harder to make it to where they are. And with this, there is no different with Black Hollywood as it relates to white Hollywood. When making a black movie, white people don't care unless it completely emasculates a black person, is about slavery, or is about something drug related. In that case, that's the only time where our voices are really heard, to where we have to make a show of it, to talk about as much trauma as possible without being normal human beings. If you watch a TV right now, you can see a million shows about the mob. You can see a million shows about white men being billionaires. You can see a million shows about white men being serial killers. You don't see any of that pertaining to a black man or a black woman. Instead, the picks that are relegated for us and the roles that are relegated for us are instead those in high traumatic situations, in slavery, or something that will make you feel like less of a man. And in regards to Moonlight, a lot of these directly correlate to it. In some ways, Moonlight was a coming of age story. But in a lot of ways, with the bullying that was going on with Chiron's life, the fact that it was in the midst of the Miami drug crisis, and the fact that he was really trying to find himself while everyone was putting him down, put him in the most traumatic situation possible until the day he broke, shows that these stories, we aren't able to be as normal or as creative or as free as white cinema is. And I hope that makes a lot of sense to whoever's listening to this. And as I'm saying this, I'm not trying to say that every single white person is racist or every single white person in Hollywood is racist. No. In no way, shape, or form am I saying this. Instead, I'm saying that, implicitly speaking, you're just not able to relate to a lot of the content that we are able to put out there, no matter how good, no matter how bad the content is. Your opinions on it will always heavily differ from our opinions. Speaking about directors like Spike Lee and Tyler Perry, very polarizing directors. Spike Lee has yet to ever win an Academy Award, even though he has made movies such as Black Klansman, Do the Right Thing. He's made amazing movies. He's never won an Oscar. And then Tyler Perry. Say what you want about Madea, but he makes good movies. Even though he dresses in drag, he makes good movies. And people always clown Tyler Perry for not only his wig choices, but also for his choice to continually have Madea in almost every single one of his movies. Even though that's really not the case. The way that Hollywood critics will really turn it, when you watch a black movie, it doesn't really feel like something that would be pristine Hollywood condition. And the fact that there's even a term for black movies called blaxploitation. What the fuck is blaxploitation? There's no such thing as whitesploitation, Latino exploitation, Asian exploitation. But there's a such thing as blaxploitation. That just doesn't make sense. It baffles my mind, but I hope that you're able to learn something from this video. I truly do. And I truly hope that one day there will be true equality in Hollywood to where black actors and other actors of color are able to get their shine. Because there's no reason in hell that Lupita should have got snubbed for Us, yet Scarlett Johansson gets nominated in Best Supporting Actress and Best Actress. There's no reason in the world. Final thought that I do want to leave you guys out with is please stop hyping up white mediocrity and start propelling the excellence of not only people of color, but also black people. Hey, you enjoyed the video? If you did, then you should leave a like, maybe even a comment, and definitely punch this button right here to subscribe. Hey, but don't go nowhere too quick now, because right here and right here, it's going to be 2 videos. 2 of my previous ones. They're going to be just as good, if not even better than what you just saw. Have a good one.